Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with the same module, that is the object-oriented programming, and the same chapter, that is chapter number 7, that is the operator overloading and the type conversion. In the last class we have discussed how to overload the various operators. Now I am going to continue with the same topic, that is the overloading the binary operators, right? So let's start with the how to overload the binary operators. So this is the example that shows how to override an binary operator. The first line simply says, we have just seen, that is in the last class, that is on the Thursday's class, we have already seen that how to overload an unary operator. So this is the term that is used, how to overload an binary operators. Right. The same mechanism can be used to overload a binary operator, just similar to the unary operator. In chapter number 6, we illustrated how to add two complex numbers using a friend function. A statement like C equals to AB, that is a functional notation that is used for rotating the or overload the binary operator that was used. The functional notation can be replaced by a natural looking expression. This is a natural expression that is used, that is a arithmetic notation, by overloading the plus operator using an operator function. So plus operator is used to overload the plus operation, that is the addition function. The figure 7.2 illustrates how this can be accomplished or how this can be used, that is how the addition operator can be used, how the plus sign can be used. This is overloading the plus operator. So first of all, there is a hash include iostream.h, that is the input output stream. Then there is a using namespace std, that is a standard. Then there is a class complex. So name of the class is complex, and there are two private parts or two data members. One is the float x, one is the float y. Then there is a public, that is a public function, that is a public member function that is used, that name is complex. Then there is a complex, float real, float imaginary. That is two constructors are used. One is the complex, this is a simple default constructor, and one is the constructor number 2, that is basically a implicit constructor that is contains the two data types, that is the float real and the float imaginary. Then it contains the two values, that is the real is assigned to the x and the imaginary is assigned to the y. Then complex operator plus complex, that is the operator plus is used, and there is a operation, and there is a we say that there is a return type, that is a complex, or there is an argument that is used is a complex. Then void display void, that is the display function is used for displaying the output, that is a void display void. Then there is a class that is closed with the closing curly braces, and there is a semicolon. Then it is defined over here. What is defined over here? That is a constructor definition is defined over here. That is complex. There is a scope resolution operator, operator plus complex C. That is the complex is the name of the class. Complex is the name of the structure constructor that is used. Then there is a scope resolution operator. Then there is a operator plus. Why there is a usage of the operator plus? Because we are using or we are overloading the operator, that is a plus operator. So it is defined as a operator plus. Then there is a complex C, right? Then a new variable is defined, that is a temporary variable. Then use the temp variable and the dot operator to access the elements, that is the x and the y, that is the float value and the real value. So these are the float additions, that is the temp dot x equals to x plus c dot x. Then temp dot y equals to y plus c dot y. That is also a float addition. Then there is a return temp, that is a temp is also used to return the value, that is a return temp, right? Then there is another function that is used, that is a void complex scope resolution operator. Then there is a display void that is used. Then cout x equals x, then j, then y, then n. So this is as it is defined, that is a I plus j n, right? Then there is a main function, that is int main, and there are three constructor that is invoked, that is used. There are three objects we can say that is used in the int main of the complex class, that is a c1, c2 and the c3. Then c1 is used to invoke the value, that is a constructor 1 is invoked by the help of the c1, that is a 2.5, 3.5. In the same way C2 equals to 1.6, 2.7. That means real is taking the value 2.5 and the imaginary is taking the value 3.5. In the same way, a real is taking the value 1.6 in the C2 and the imaginary is taking the value 2.7 in the C2. Then C3 equals to C1 plus C2. That is the addition of the two parts, addition of the two objects, that is the C1 and the C2, and the output is defined in the or given in the C3. That is C3 equals to C1 plus C2. Then printed the value and use the display function for displaying on the screen. That is the cout C1 dot display, then cout C2 dot display, then cout C3 dot display. That the dot display is used, or it is used to display the value. That is the calling the value, calling the function, that is dot display. Right. Whenever a function is called, that is C1 dot display is used, it will display the, or it will use the display function, that is it directly jump to this display function and prints the value, right? So this is the output, that is a C1 equals to 2.5 plus J 3.5 because its value is 3.5, then 1.6 plus 2.7, and this is the addition of these two values. This is 4.1 and this is 6.2. This is C3. Let us have a close look at the function operator plus and see how the operator overloading is implemented. That is how, or what is the usage of the operator overloading. So this is the operator overloading definition. That is a complex, that is the name of the class, name of the constructor, then scope resolution operator, operator plus, and there is a complex C. Then complex tab, temp dot x equals to x plus c dot y, that is a dot operator is used to access the value. Then dot operator is used to access the another value, that is a y plus c dot y. Then there is a return temp, that is a return temp means getting the values of the temp by returning the value, that is a return temp. Now we should note the following feature of these functions. That is, what are the various features that is used in this definition. First of all, it receives only one complex type argument explicitly. That is, only one complex type argument is received, that is received in an explicit way. That is, this is the explicit function, not the parameterized function. Then second point says it returns a complex type value. That it returns a value that is of complex type, because the return value is a temp, so it returns the value that is a complex number that is in the form of I and j. Then it is a member function of complex. It means the constructor or this function is a member function of the complex class. The function is expected to add two complex numbers. So the main target is to add the two complex number that is used, or that is defined in this number, that is used as a category to define the value. Right. So this function is expected to add two complex number and returns a complex number as the result given below as an argument. Where does the other value come from? So where is the place from which the other value is coming from? That is another part. That is another question basically. So this invokes C3 equals to C1 plus C2. That is the addition of the C1 and the C2 and storing the values in the C3. So that is C3 is the addition of both the getting the values, that is the C1 plus C2. Right. We know that the member function can be invoked only by an object of the same class. Here the object C1 is used, take the responsibility of invoking the function. Which function? That is the operator overloading function. So it takes the value of invoking the function, getting the function. And C2 plays the role of an argument that is passed to a function. The above invocation or above statement is expected or equivalent to this one, that is the C3 equals to C1 dot operator, that is the dot operator is used, and then the operator plus C2, that is a usual function called syntax. So this is a simple syntax that is used to call the function. Therefore, in the operator plus function, the data members of C1 are accessed directly and the data members of C2 are accessed using the dot operator. That is, the C1 is simply used to, or C1 data members are accessed directly and the data members of C2 are accessed using the dot operator. Therefore, both the objects are available for the function. For example, in the statement temp.x equals to x plus c dot x, then c dot x refers to the object C2 and the x refers to the object C1. Temp.x is the real part of the temp that has been created specially to hold the result of the addition of C1 and C2. The function returns the complex temp to be assigned to the C3. Figure 7.1 shows how this can be implemented. That is, how this can be implemented, how C3 is getting the value, how C1 is getting the value, how C2 is getting the value. As a rule, in overloading of binary operators, the left-hand operand is used to invoke the operator function and the right-hand operand is passed as an argument. That is, the left hand is used to invoke the function and the right hand is used to pass an argument or invoke the arguments. This is temp 4.10 6.20. There is a complex operator C, then there is a return temp C dot x plus y, that is getting the value of C1 and the C2. That is the implementation of the overloaded operators, that how the operator will be overloaded, that is how the plus sign will be overloaded to invoke the function to get the function. We can avoid the creation of the temp object by replacing the entire function body by the following statement. That is, it's also an opinion to avoid the temp object by using the function body, by using the statement like return complex x plus c dot x and the y plus c dot y that invokes the constructor 2. What does it mean when we use a class name with the argument list? So what is the meaning of this one? When the compiler comes across a statement like this one, it invokes an appropriate constructor, initializes an object with no name, and returns the content for copying into an object. Such an object is known as a temporary object. That is, for the time being we have created an object and putting the values, that is the extra value, into the temp so that it can get the values, it can get the content that is assigned to the another object. Using temporary objects can make the code shorter, more efficient, and the better to read. So whenever we use the temporary object, they can be used to make the code shorter, more efficient, and the better to use, that is used in the programming languages. Now this is what we have covered in how to overload the binary operators. Then now again, how to overload the binary operators but using the friend. So the friend function is used to overload the binary operators. So how to overload using the friend functions. That friend function is used that is used to share the values and use the binary operator, that is the overloaded operator. So this is, as stated earlier, a friend function may be used in the place of member functions for overloading a binary operators. The only difference being that a friend function requires two arguments that is to be explicitly passed to it, while a member function requires only one. The main difference is that the friend function requires two arguments to be passed, while a member function requires only one. This is also main difference. The complex numbers program discussed in the previous section can be modified using a friend function. That is, everything is same, but only use the keyword that is a friend. The complex number program discussed in the previous section can be modified using a friend operator function as follows. The first point says replace the member function declaration by the friend function declaration. That is, replace the member function declaration by getting the friend function values, and this is a syntax, that is a friend complex operator plus complex complex. That is, a complex is the name of the class, operator is the operator overloading, that is also a keyword, plus is the operator, friend is the keyword, and there are two arguments, one is a complex, another is also complex. Then second point says redefine the operator function as follows. That is, there is another option, that is how the friend will be created or friend will be used for overloading the binary operators. Redefine the operator function. That is, redefine means regenerate or mm, use or redefine the operator function, that is the using as a function, that is a complex operator plus then complex a then complex b. Then there is a return, then complex a dot x plus b dot x, then a dot y plus b dot y. In this statement, or in this case, the statement C3 equals to C1 is equivalent to the C3 equals to operator plus C2 dot C1, C2, because C1 and C2 are the two operators that is used, that is performing the plus operation, addition operator, and this is the operator plus C1 and C2. In most cases, we will get the same result by the use of either a friend function or a member function. Why then an alternative is made available? There are certain situations where we would like to use a friend function rather than a member function. For example, so this question says, what is the various advantages that is used to get the friend function rather than the member function? For example, consider a situation where we need to use two different types of operands for a binary operator, say one object and another as a built-in type data as shown below. So one is a simple object, one is the data type that is used, that is a built-in data that is given below, or as is used as a built-in data type that is shown below. That is a equals to b plus 2, that is, or a equals to b into 2, that is getting the value of b and the 2, where a and the b are the objects of the same class. This will work for a member function, but the statement this will not work. This is because the left-hand operator, which is responsible for invoking the member function, should be an object of the same class. However, friend function always or allows both the approaches. How is it possible? Because using the friend function that is used, that is passed as an argument, therefore we can use a friend function with a built-in data as a left-hand operator and an object as a right-hand operator. So that is used, or program 7.3 uses the scalar multiplication of a vector. It also shows how to overload the input and the output operator, that is this is the input operator and this is the output operator. So this is used as a constant value, that is a size equals to 3. Then there is a class vector, then int y size, int v size, because size is 3, so v is defined as an array that contains the 3 values from 0 to the 2. Then there is a public function that is used, that is a constructor that is using the null values, that is a construct null vector. Then constructs vector from the array, that is a vector int pointer x. Next, friend function will be defined for the constructor, that is a friend vector operator multiply. So in this case the multiply will be overloaded, that is the operator multiply, then int a vector b. So int a will be defined and vector b will be defined. Then friend vector operator, then there is a multiplication, then vector b int a. So one is of data type int, one is of data type vector. Then friend vector operator multiply vector b int a. Then friend I stream ampersand operator, then I stream ampersand and vector ampersand, then O stream ampersand operator. So this is the overloading of the instruction or the extraction operators. Then there is a class that is closed and there is a semicolon. Then there is a vector, then there is a this is the definition of the vector. In the definition, the for loop will be used, that is I equals to 0, I is less than size, I plus plus, then vi equals to 0. Then vector int pointer x, that is used, then it is used in a for loop, that is int I equals to 0, I is less than size, I plus plus, then vi equals to xi. Then again this is the definition of the operator function, that is getting the values of a and the b as the int data type and the vector data type. Then vector c is defined, and using the for loop it is used and uses a multiplication that is used for the various returns. then vector, operator, pointer, vector, and the int. So in this, there is a b, that is of vector, and the int a, that is of vector. So this is the overloading of the operator. You see this multiplication used over here, this is used over here. So this multiplication can be used in multiple places. This is known as the operator overloading. Then I stream ampersand operator, extraction or insertion operator, then I stream ampersand in vector ampersand b, that is used for the operator overloading. Then O stream ampersand operator, then O stream ampersand d out vector ampersand b. Then int x size 2, 4, 6. There are three values that is used. Then there is a int main, then vector m, vector n equals to x. So this is the int main that invokes the constructor 1 and the constructor 2. So vector m, that is invoking the constructor 1 and invoke the constructor 2 by taking the values or assigning the values of x into the vector n. Then cout, that is print on the screen, that is enter the elements of the vector m, then c in m, that is getting the value of the m, that is invoking the function that is a m. Right. Then cout, this is for the next line, then this is for the m, then vector pq, this is also defined, then getting the invoking the friend function, this is the output that is shown. Enter the elements of the m, that is 5, 10, 15, then m equals to 5, 10, 15, this is 10, 20, 30, this is the 4, 8, 12, and this is overloaded operator can be used for the operator overloading. So come back from the break. Now let's start the session again. Next topic is how to manipulate the strings using the operators. So till now we have studied about the how to overload the binary operators, how to overload the unary operators. Now next topic is how to manipulate the strings using the various operator, using the array operator, character operator, pointer operator, various operator that is used to manipulation of the string. That is the manipulation of the strings using various operators, using operator overloading, plus, minus, divide, multiply. Right. So NSI implements string using character array, pointers, and the string functions. So whenever we use the C, that is NSI that implements the strings, that is using the character array, pointers, and the string functions. So there are multiple functions that is used for the character array, for getting the value, for getting the storing the value, for taking the data, that is used with the storing the input. So that is also used for storing the input that is available in the character array. Right. But there are no operator that is used for the manipulating the string. That is, there is no operator that is available for manipulating the string. So one of the major drawback of string manipulation is see that whenever a string is copied, the programmer first determines the length. So it's mandatory to determine the length first of all, then use the function, then use the array, or then use the strcpy function for copying the data of the string to the another string, and also allocates the required amount of memory. Although these limitations exist in C++ as well. It permits us to create our own difficulties or definitions of operators that can be used to manipulate the strings very much similar to the decimal numbers. Recently, NSI C++ committee has added a new class string, that is to the class library that supports all the string manipulations. So in C, we studied various functions that is used for manipulating of the or manipulation of the string. In the same way, in C++, that is also there are so many class library, that is there are so many functions that is used for the string manipulation, that is using the string class. So whenever I use the string, so there is a class that is also used, or there is a header file that is also used, that is a string.h. Right. For example, we shall be able to use the statements like string1 equals to string1.2, that is both the strings will be added and the output will be stored in the string 3. Then compare the operator, that is if string1 is greater than or equals to the string2, then it is equals to string1. That is comparing the strings with the string1 and the string2. The strings can also be defined as a class objects which can then be manipulated like the built-in types. Since the strings vary greatly in size, we use new to allocate the memory for each string. So we use the new operator for allocating the memory or to allocate the memory for each string and a pointer variable to point to the string. Therefore, we must create string objects that can hold these two pieces of information, namely length and the location, which are necessary for the string manipulation. Therefore, the creation of the string objects that is used to get the information like the length, location, that is very helpful for the string manipulation. A typical string class will look as follows. This is the typical class string, that is a class string. Then there is a char pointer p, that is a pointer to a string. Then there is a int length. Then this is the length of the string. Then there is a public part, that is publicly it is used. There is a member functions to initialize and manipulate the functions. Then there is a closing of the class and there is a semicolon of the class. We shall consider an example to illustrate the application of overloaded operators. The example, this is shown to overload two operators, that is a plus and the less than equals to, just to show how they are implemented. This can be extended to cover other operators as well. Other operator means other variables as well. So this is the mathematical operations on the string, that is how to perform the mathematical operations. So first of all, hash include string.h, that is a header file will be used. Then hash include iostream.h, that is iostream.h, that is a string.h. Why we are including the string.h? Because this is a header file that is used for the string, and there is the iostream, that is the input output stream, that is used to get the input and display the output, that is the iostream.h. Then there is a class string, that is a string class will be defined. Then there is a char pointer p, that is a pointer p will be used, that is how to use the pointer p, that is how to use the pointer p so that it can be used, how bravely it is used, and how it is used in the iostream.h. That is a char pointer p, this is a pointer variable. Then there is a int length. Then the len is also used, that is a len means the name of the variable that is of int type to calculate the string length. Then there is a public, that is a constructor will be defined, this is string. Then the 0 is value is assigned to the len and the 0 value is assigned to the p. Then there is a string, then constant char pointer s, that is a create the string from the arrays, that is taking the array and create the strings. Then there is a copy constructor that is used, that is string const string pointer or ampersand x. Then there is a destructor that is also used for destructing the values. So this is a destructor that is also used to destruct the value, to give the store the value, that is delete the various constructor that is used so that the object cannot be automatically be upgraded, right? This is the plus operator that is used to overload the operator, that is the plus. Then there is a friend string operator plus constant string pointer as constant string pointer t. So one of the constant string, one of the address operator is ampersand s, one of the address operator is ampersand t. So these are the two operators that is used with the various operator, or that is this operator is overloaded, that is also the friend type, that is a friend string operator plus. Now this is plus operator that is used. Now this is the less than equals to operator that is used. Then there is a friend, that is used. Then there is a string, then operator plus, then const operator less than equals to, then const string ampersand s, const string ampersand t. The same argument will be used. Then another is friend void show const string b, that is the show function is also used. person is also used, that is used to get the values, that is a friend void show string constant string s. Then there is a closing of the class and there is a closing of the semicolon. Then this constructor is also used, that is a string. Then there is a scope resolution operator. Then there is a string, that is the name of the class, name of the constructor. Then constant char pointer s. Then len equals to strlen s, that is calculating the length and store the output in the len. Then p equals to new char len plus 1. Then strcpy p and s, that is copying the string from the s to the p, that is s is the source and the p is the destination, that is the strcpy p s. Then another constructor that is used is the string. Then there is a scope resolution operator, then string, then constant string ampersand x s. Then len equals to s dot len, then p equals to new char len plus 1. Then there is a strcpy that is also used for copying the string, that is a s dot p, that is a dot operator is used to copying the string and storing in the p. So this is the simply the objects or simply the constructor definition that is used. Now this is the how to overload the operator, that is also a definition of overloading the operators, that is how to overload the various operators. This is overloading plus operator. So this is the first line, that is a definition that is used. There is operator plus, that is a plus operator is used. Then there is a string, that is also a keyword that is used. Then constant string ampersand s and the constant string ampersand t. So there are two argument that is used, that is the ampersand s and the ampersand t. And the constant is used, that is the constant means the constant value can be used. Then string temp, that is the temp is the name of the variable that is used. Then getting the values by using the dot operator, that is a temp dot len equals to s dot len plus t dot len. Then temp dot p equals to new char temp dot len plus 1, that is a temp variable is used and getting the value, that is a len plus 1. Then strcpy temp dot p s dot p, that is getting the values of s dot p and the temp dot p. Then t dot p and the temp dot p. Then there is a return temp, that is getting the values or returning the values of the temp to the as a return type. Right. Then overloading the less than equals to operator, that is this is also the overloading, that is a less than equals to operator. Now this is of int type, and that it is a return type is int, so it is use int operator less than equals to, then constant string ampersand s, constant string ampersand t, that is also used. Then getting the value of m, that is int m equals to strlen s dot p, that is getting the value of p by using the object, that is s. Then calculating the or finding the length of the string. Then strlen t dot p, so one is s dot p is used, one is the t dot p is used, and storing the output in the n. Right. Then compare the value, that is if m is less than equals to n, that if the m is less than equals to n, then return the 1, otherwise return the 0. If it is more than n, m is more than 1 n, then simply return the 0, otherwise return the 1. Then void show const string s, that is the show function is also used by getting the constant value, that is a string s. Then there is a closing curly braces, then opening curly braces, then it is simply used to print the values, that is a cout s dot p, there is a closing curly braces. Then int main, that is getting the values of or starting with the main function. Then string s1 equals to new, that is the string s1 equals to new, that is getting the or storing the value of new into s1, then yoke into s2, then delhi into s3. So these are the three strings that is assigning the values, that is s1 contains delhi, s2 contains yoke, and the s3 contains s1 contains new, s2 contains yoke, and the s3 contains delhi. Then string t1, t2, t3, there are three strings that is used to getting the values, that is or creating the objects. So these are the three objects. What are name of the objects? That is the t1, t2, and the t3. Then s1 value, that is a new value is assigned to the t1, and that S2 value, that is the yoke, is assigned to the T2, then adding the value of new and the yoke and displayed in the T3, right? No, not new and the yoke, but S1 and the S2, that is the new and the Delhi, right? Then C out and T1, that is simply use the show function. This is a show function. This is a show function that is used to display the output, that is the S dot P. This is another show function. This is used for the next line. This is another show function, and this is also used for the next line. Now again compare, if T1 is less than equals to T3, then smaller values, show the T1 and T2. This is the program. So following is the output. T1 contains the new, T2 contains the yoke, T3 equals to New Delhi. New smaller than the New Delhi. So this is just a comparison. Till now this is only for showing up by adding the value, that is a New Delhi. It is only showing up if T1 is, that is a New Delhi, is less than or greater than the new. Compare for the new and the New Delhi, right? Then use the show T1 function, C out smaller than value, show T3 function, C out for the next line, then count function. Otherwise, if it is not the case, then otherwise show T3, that is the T3 is used with the show function. Then C out smaller than, and that is a smaller than value, then show T1, then C out for the next line. There is a closing curly braces, there is a return 0. So following is the output of the program 7.4. That is a new yoke, New Delhi, that is a new smaller than the New Delhi. Then next is rules for overloading the operator. That is how to overload the operator. That is the rules that is given below. Although it looks simple to redefine the operators, there are certain restrictions and limitations in overloading them. That is, there are various restrictions, there are various foundations that limits to overload the operator. So what are the various rules that is covered in this 7.7? This is very important. What are the various rules? Only the existing operators can be overloaded. That is, no new operator cannot be overloaded. That is, new operator cannot be created with the help of the overloading function. For example, we are using plus, minus, that is addition, subtraction, divide, multiplication. Any operator that we can use, that is the existing operator, we can upload them or we can overload them. Then the overloaded operator must have at least one operand that is of user defined type. That is, overloaded operator that is used that have at least one operand that is of user defined type, that is available in the user defined criteria. Then third point says we cannot change the basic meaning of an operator. That is, we cannot change the basic meaning. That is, if the plus is used, then it will perform the addition only. If minus is used, it can perform the subtraction only. So we cannot change the basic meaning of an operator. That is to say, we cannot redefine the plus operator to subtract one value from the another. Then overloaded operators follow the syntax rules of the original operators. They cannot be overridden. So overloaded operators follow the syntax rule that is given for the original operators. They cannot be override, they can be only overload. There are some properties that cannot be overloaded. That is given in 7.2. We are just seeing that what is the 7.1 table. Then we cannot use the friend function to overload the certain operator. That is, if we are using the friend function, that is not used to overload the various operator. So we cannot use the friend function to overload the certain operators. However, member function can be used to overload them. That is, a member function is also can be used to overload them. That is the friend function. Then next rule that is used for the overloading operator is that unary operators overloaded by means of member functions takes no explicit argument and returns no explicit values. That is, whenever we use a unary operator that is overloaded by a member function by a means of the member functions, take no explicit argument. There is no extra argument, explicit argument that is used, and also returns no explicit value. But those overloaded by a means of friend function take one reference argument, that is the object of the relevant object. or a object of the relevant class. That is, only the object can be defined with the binary function with the unary operators. Then next point says binary operators overloaded through a member function takes one explicit argument, and those which are overloaded through a friend function takes two explicit arguments. Then when using with binary operators overloaded through a member function, the left-hand operand must take an object of the relevant class. That is, when used with the binary operator, the overloaded through a member function, then the left-hand operand must be an object of the relevant class. Then binary arithmetic operators such as plus, minus, divide, multiply must explicitly return a value. That is, they must explicitly returns a value in the case of the overloaded operators. They must not attempt to change their own arguments. This is the table of point 1, that is the operator that cannot be overloaded, right? So first of the operator is size of operator. This cannot be overloaded. Then membership operator. Then point to member operator. Scope resolution operator. Conditional operators. So these are the 5 operators that cannot be overloaded. What are the 5 operators? One is the size of operator. One is the scope resolution operator. One is the conditional operator. One is the membership operator. One is the pointed to member operator. Next, where a friend function cannot be used, what are the various operators? That is equals to, that is the assignment operator, that is the function call operator, subscripting operator, then class member access operators. Right. Then the next topic is type conversion, that is how to convert from one type to another type. This I'm not going to start right now, but now I'm going forward to the practical part, that is practical of the C++. I'm covering this topic, I'm covering or taking this topic in the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class, right? So let's start with some practical approach. So first of all, the hash will be used, that is the hash include std so iostream.h, then hash include conio.h, then there is a class that is defined, for example, or without using the class concept, let's start with this one. There is a gap, there is a slash, there is a hash include, or in simple terms, if I'm using the one of the simplest program, that how it will be used, that is starting with the main function only. For example, if I want to swap the values, that is the two values can be swapped, right? So first of all, enter the values, or I'm defining the values like a equals to 10, then there is a semicolon, then b equals to 20, then there is a semicolon, then there is a temp, right? Now assigning the values of or assigning the values of a to the temp, right? Now assigning the values of a to the b. Now b is empty. Now assigning the values of temp to the a. This is swapping. Now if I want to print the values, then simply it is printed like this one, that is cout values of A and B are then A then B, right? Then there is a get ch, then there is a return 0, then there is a closing curly brace. If I compile this code, there are 3 errors. Oh my goodness. Undefined symbol A, because we have not defined the symbol A as a value. So this is the undefined symbol it is saying. That is A equals to 20, B equals to 20, iostream.h. Now if I compile, there are 3 errors. These are the undefined symbol that is used. This is A equals to 10, B equals to 20, there is a temp. So if I use in the next line, now again there are 3 errors, A, B, C. This is an undefined symbols. Now what is the error in this? That is the undefined symbol A and the B. That is, we have not defined the symbol in this one. So there is iostream.h, conio.h, assigning the values of A1, A2 and the A3, but not storing the values in the constructor operator. That is not storing the values in the part of the constructor. Maybe that is an error. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe that is an error, right? So that error may be any value that is used. So this is the same method how it will be used. That is oh my goodness, I have not used any data type. That is the main thing. Okay, that is a int. Now if I compile the code, there is only one error, that is undefined symbol temp. In the same way, we have to define the data type. Now if I execute, the values of A and the B are 20 and the 10. We have given the value 10 and the 20, but it is showing as a 20 and the 10. This is like this one, 20 and the 10. If I want to print in the next line, then this will be used over here. There are 2 errors, illegal statement, this one. So for this one, I have to use again. Now if I compile, this 20 and the 10 will be printed in the 2 lines, and for clearing the screen, this will be used over here, that is CLR SCR. There is a function. This is the values of A and B are 20. Before, the values of A and B are 10 and the 20, but now the values of A and B are 20 and the 10. So this is the program that shows how to swap the value, that is how to interchange the value. A value become B, B's value become, that means interchanging the values. Now if I change these values to the, for example, float, that is a 3.0. Now let's see what is an error. There is no error. It will print the integer value, that is 20 and the 3. Although if I'm given 3.5, there is no error. It will simply show the 3. There is no round off, nothing, because we are using the integer values. It is taking only the first digit, that is a discrete part, that is the integer part. Alright. So if I use over here, that is a float, then again using float, then again using float. Now if I compile this code, this will be printed like as it is, that is a 20 and the 3.5, because now everything is float. If I've given error only, that is a 4.5. If I compile, this will print as it is, because we are taking the float values, because there is no specifiers like I, D or F, L, LF. No, there is no specifier that is used. So that is given only the A and the B, that is the 3.5 and the 4.5. This is float temp. Now if I use the double, now let's see what is the impact. If I use double, now if I compile this code, this is also 4.5, 3.5, because that also takes the decimal value, that is a and the b. So it is also used with the double. And in C, whenever we use the C, there is a specifier that is used. For double, there is a LF, remember. For int, there is a D. But in this, there is no specifier. So we are able to use any value, any data type that is used with the this one. Now, if I don't use IOStream, let's see what has happened. If I make the comment, there is a warning. Oh my goodness, there are two errors. That is a clear screen should have a prototype. That is, clear screen is defined in the conio.h. In the same way, getch is also defined in the conio.h. So this is defined in this one. How I do know, or how do I know? By excluding this one, that is a hash include. Now if I exclude this one, now let's see, there one error. What is the one error? That is a unsimple simple cout. That is a cout is used. That is a cout is used for getting the value or for storing the value, or cout is defined in the hash include iostream.h. So iostream is the header file for the cout. Right, now if I compile by including everything, it is okay. So this is just, you see that everything is important what you have covered. That is, iostream is also important, conio is also important, int main is also important. Now let's see, if I'm not using int main, this is deleted. For example, if I'm using only this one, there is an output that is printed because it is taking the void values, right? So if I use int main again, and if I'm not giving this value, that is a return 0, and if I compile, there is a one warning. What is the warning? Now let's see. There is one warning. Function should return a value because we are using the int main. So function must return a value that is returned by the return 0. So if I compile this code, the value will be printed as a 4.5 and the 3.5. And cout is also defined in the iostream.h. So this is the basic program that everyone must know while studying the C++. All right. So I think time is over. So that's all for today's session. Let's see. Yeah, time is almost over. I, yes, Joseph. How are you? Good afternoon. Yeah, tell me, Joseph. But I have recently sent you a message. Just means half an hour ago on the same ID. On the same ID, I have already sent the message like this one. This is your ID, DIOT, like this one. I have sent the message to you. See on my screen. I have sent. You are able to see my screen. So it's 5:04 p.m. According to the IST. I have sent the message to you by writing this one. Hi Joseph, meeting ID, and so on, so on, so on. All right. Pardon? Yes. Ye- Yeah, that's also a GUI interface that is also available in the C++, that is known as the C compiler, and that's a Turbo C compiler, that is a Java beans. Yeah, that is also used for the Java as well as the C++. Yeah, but that is only that is compatible for both the languages, that is the C++ and the Java. But if you are using only C or the C++, then again there is a GUI that is a Turbo C++, the same name of the compiler that we are using, DOS based. Now, first of all, listen. There are two parts of object oriented. There is a C++ and the Java, right? So if you are using both, then download the Java beans. But if you are using only Turbo C++, then use the Turbo C++ compiler that is also available in the DOS environment, also available in the GUI environment. Alright. Okay. In the next class, I will take my next topic, your next topic, that is a type conversions. Alright. So if there is any doubt, you can ask from me. So we will see you on the Tuesday, that is the next class. So thanks a lot everyone. Bye bye.